Unfaithful men follow a pattern, and if you can identify these 7 behaviors, you might avoid a lot of heartbreak. But be careful. Some of these behaviors seem harmless and can fool you for a long time. Stay with me until the end because number 6 is one of the easiest to overlook and the most dangerous. Number 1, he has a habit of lying. There's one thing a cheating man knows how to do well. It's lying. At first, they're just little white lies that seem harmless, like saying he was stuck in traffic when, in reality, he left work late. But over time, these lies become more elaborate. He makes up stories to justify his disappearances, invents commitments, and even distorts facts to keep you from getting suspicious. The problem is that the more he lies, the harder it becomes to keep his own stories straight. Have you noticed that he always has an excuse for everything? If you catch him contradicting himself or changing details of what he said before, that could be a sign. The worst part is that often he tries to turn the situation around and make you feel paranoid for doubting him. This has a name: gaslighting. He makes you question your own perception as if you're wrong for asking questions or wanting to understand things better. And that's not normal in a healthy relationship. Another important detail: when lying becomes a habit, trust disappears. The foundation of any strong relationship is transparency, but a man who cheats has to hide so much that his life turns into an act. Do you feel like you constantly have to keep an eye on his every move? Have you ever had to check his messages, social media, or pay attention to strange signs? No one should have to live like that. If he can't be honest with you, maybe it's time to reconsider the relationship. And do you know one of the most common signs that he might be hiding something? His behavior with his phone. Some men completely change when it comes to their phones. But why? Let's take a look at that now. Number 2, he's overprotective of his phone. Have you noticed how his phone has practically become an extension of his body? If he used to leave it on the table or couch without a second thought, now he takes it. Everywhere, even to the bathroom. And that's not all. He changed his password, turned off notifications, and always places his phone face down when he's with you. This could be a clear sign that he has something to hide. After all, if there's nothing wrong, why so much secrecy? Now think about this. Every time you get close, he locks the screen or quickly closes an app. If you ask to use his phone for a second, he gets nervous or makes up an excuse to avoid it. And if you ever try to pick up his phone without warning, his reaction might be over the top, like you just invaded his privacy. But is it really just about privacy, or is there something more going on? This kind of behavior often appears when there are conversations he doesn't want you to see. And what about when he suddenly disappears and later says he didn't see your messages? Does that happen often? Men who cheat frequently ignore calls and take a long time to respond, especially when they're out. But interestingly, their phone is never too far away when they need to reply to someone else quickly. This change in phone habits can be an important warning sign. Now tell me, have you ever gone through something like this? Have you noticed this behavior in someone? Share your experience in the comments. I want to hear from you. But hold on, this isn't everything. There's another sign that's even more painful, and it can be hard to ignore. Number 3, he becomes distant and disinterested. You know that feeling when it seems like you live together but aren't truly connected? He used to make an effort to talk, show affection, and take interest in your day. But now, any conversation turns into a one-word answer, a distracted glance at his phone, or an awkward silence. It feels like he's there physically, but his mind is somewhere else. This shift could be a sign that he's emotionally involved with someone else. The moments you used to share, those that once felt special, now seem like a chore to him. He no longer asks how you're doing, doesn't make an effort to create meaningful moments, and even his touch has changed. Hugs are shorter, kisses feel colder, and even the way he looks at you isn't the same. Of course, every relationship goes through phases, but when distance comes without explanation, something might be wrong. And what about intimacy? If he used to desire you, seek you out, and show interest, but now everything feels mechanical, when it happens at all, it could be a red flag. In some cases, he might even avoid physical contact entirely, coming up with excuses to keep his distance. This happens because often a man who is cheating has already shifted all his emotional and physical energy towards someone else. He might even feel guilty, and that guilt makes him withdraw even more. But be careful, some men don't pull away. On the contrary, they start acting unpredictably, coming up with excuses for their own behavior. And often, this shows up in a surprising way. He starts picking fights out of nowhere. Number 4, he starts arguments for no reason. Have you noticed that lately? Everything turns into a fight. It seems like anything you say or do irritates him. A simple comment, a casual question, or even a loving gesture can trigger an exaggerated reaction. This could be a sign that he's trying to create distance between you. Men who cheat often seek out conflicts as a way to justify their own emotional withdrawal. And that's not all. Some fights seem to come out of nowhere, as if he's looking for an excuse to leave the house or stay away for a while. Pay attention, many times after an argument he suddenly needs space, or has to clear his head somewhere mysterious. This type of behavior isn't normal in a healthy relationship, where conflicts should be resolved through communication, not avoidance. Another important detail: when he blames you for everything. Even when he's the one in the wrong, somehow you end up feeling like it's your fault. Suddenly you're always on the defensive, trying to avoid arguments so things don't get worse. This could be a form of manipulation to shift the focus away from his own actions. The more guilty you feel, the less likely you are to realize what's really happening. But sometimes changes in behavior don't come in the form of arguments. Some men do the exact opposite. They start paying extra attention to their looks, changing the way they dress, talk, and even act. And if this happens out of nowhere, without a clear reason, it's worth paying attention. After all, why would someone who never cared about their appearance suddenly start obsessing over it? Number 5, he changes his habits and style. Have you noticed that out of nowhere, he started caring more about his appearance? Suddenly, the guy who always wore the same clothes now spends hours picking out what to wear. The cologne he never cared about is now a must-have, and even his haircut has changed. Of course, everyone can want a fresh look, but when these changes happen suddenly and without explanation, it's worth paying attention. And it's not just about looks. He starts acting differently in his daily life. He spends more time at the gym, changes his work routine, or develops new interests he never showed before. Even the way he talks might change, adopting new slang or expressions. These changes often reflect the influence of someone new in his life. It's as if he's trying to impress someone else. Another detail that can go unnoticed: he avoids talking about these changes. If you ask why he decided to change his style, or why he suddenly got interested in something new, he gives vague answers or changes the subject. In some cases, he even gets irritated with the question, as if he doesn't want you to notice the transformation. But if there's nothing to hide, why the discomfort? Now, what if these changes come along with unexplained disappearances? He starts vanishing at odd hours, giving confusing excuses, and always seems busy. This could indicate something even more concerning. Number 6, he disappears without explanation. You text him, and it takes hours for him to reply. You call, and he doesn't answer, but later he shows up with some random excuse. Suddenly, he has last-minute plans, meetings that never existed before, or unexpected outings. And when you ask where he was, his answers are vague, lacking details, like he's only telling you what's necessary to avoid suspicion. These disappearances happen more and more often. Before, you both had a predictable routine. Now, he's always busy, short on time, and loaded with obligations he never mentioned before. Pay close attention. When someone wants to deceive, they avoid giving too much information. Instead of explaining things clearly, they just say they were taking care of some stuff, making it easier to invent another excuse if they get caught in a lie. Another strange sign is how he reacts when you ask about his disappearances. If you ask a simple question, he might get irritated and say you're being too controlling. Or he gets defensive, flipping the situation to make you feel guilty for being suspicious. But is questioning something that doesn't make sense really a mistake? Or is this exaggerated reaction hiding something bigger? And sometimes, the issue isn't just disappearing. Some unexpected behaviors can be even more concerning, like when he suddenly starts treating you differently, trying to make up for something. But make up for what? Number 7, he shows guilt in strange ways. Out of the blue, he becomes more affectionate, starts giving you gifts for no reason, or gives compliments he never used to. Sounds great, right? But is this sudden affection real, or is it a way to compensate for something? Many men who cheat act this way because deep down, they feel guilty. Instead of changing their bad behavior, they try to ease their conscience by being extra sweet at certain moments. Another telling sign is his mood swings. One day, he's distant and cold. The next, he goes out of his way to be nice and shower you with attention. This emotional roller coaster could be a reflection of the inner conflict he's experiencing. He knows he's doing something wrong, but doesn't want you to notice. And this constant shift in behavior is often a silent warning that something is happening behind the scenes. On top of that, these exaggerated gestures might serve as a distraction. If he surprises you with a gift or does something unexpectedly sweet, his intention could be to divert your attention from any other suspicious behavior. After all, if he does something nice for you, it makes it harder to question his actions or notice any strange patterns. But the problem is that affection doesn't erase disrespect, and true love doesn't need disguised compensations. If you feel like something isn't right, trust your intuition. Small signs may seem harmless on their own, but when you put them together, they paint a much clearer picture. Now tell me, have any of these 7 signs ever happened to you or someone you know? Leave a comment and share your experience. If this video helped you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss upcoming content. Here, we talk about everything you need to know to understand the signs of a relationship better. And now, there's another video on the screen that I'm sure you'll want to watch. Click it and keep watching with me.